People use buzzwords, content, engagement, okay? How about just being fucking real and getting out on video and telling people the story about, how you got there? So for entrepreneurs and business owners, the main thing you want to remember is like everything starts with you. The problems and the progress, it all starts with you. As an entrepreneur, you have to develop a tolerance for problems. You're going to have more problems than positive things going on all the time. So the tolerance level and attacking them head on is the key. Going around them, under them, over them, through them. That's what you need to do. On your chateau, overlooking the mountain.
Chateau.
It is. I know what. I was looking through the window.
There is a mountain.
Yeah.
You didn't realize
I did not
there.
realize because now the leaves are gone.
All the leaves are gone. It's an actual mountain in the back. We have to
crazy.
climb the fence and go on that trail back there.
We're just giving Michael a second to wake up here.
I'm awake now.
You good?
What the hell are we talking about?
So we're talking about one thing, and I think I got this really learned a lot from you on this one. Basically, exhausting every option, before just complaining, giving up, and like looking at all, just giving yourself, being resourceful, not just complaining, and that pattern I've seen that over the years for people just making excuses. We see it with Facebook ads, we see it with different excuses of different things. And I think if you could talk a little bit about, I know one of the stories you told me before that I thought was really good was when you first started this whole thing, and like you actually loved when things didn't work for SEO or Craigslist when you were using that for I Love Kickboxing in the beginning, and you had to adapt and you had to change. And you love the challenge, and I think that a lot of people really could use that story and kind of take something from it today.
Well, I think in your head, to get your head on straight, it's framing. It's how you frame the situation. You have two people who have the same job. One looks at it as a burden, the other looks at it as a blessing, right? Okay. One person looks at it like, I'm so happy in this environment. I have a job. I can take care of my family. It's great that I can get up there early every day, go to work, come home, and see my family.
Right.
Another person just complains about it, like, this is awful, and why do I have to do this part, and this person didn't help me with my job, and it's just framing. It's the same thing. So for me, I always look at obstacles as opportunities, right? I don't look at them as obstacles. I think an obstacle is something that there's a problem with something, and I think if you wrap your head around the idea that there's just always problems. There's always, right. Business is difficult, life is difficult, relationships are difficult. There are always problems, but if you find that, if you feel that when these obstacles, when these problems come up, some people frame the word problem as a challenge.
Right.
They don't want to say the word problem because it's a negative connotation. It's like whatever way you want to do it. But obstacles, problems, challenges don't really bother me because I always feel that okay, so whatever I have where I feel there's like competition, I know that the people who are competing with me in something, in some, and don't ever kid yourself. I mean, there's always competition. Whether the competition is within yourself, whether it's business people around you, whatever it is, there's competition. For me, I like it because I like to have adversity. I seem to do better when I have an enemy or someone to fight against,
right.
or something to fight against. Like it's just me wired as a person. I like that. So with that, like an obstacle to me is really this opportunity to fight through this when the other people around you or your competition will not do it. And that's honestly how I see it. So, we don't have enough time on this phone call, but I could tell you 100 stories about like from the time I started this, massive marketing machine, within the martial arts, and then for kickboxing and what I do for what it does for I Love Kickboxing, the franchise. And you realize when you really get into it, you realize what I had to go through in order to keep jumping over an obstacle, hurdle over hurdle. It's actually a pretty cool story when you lay the whole thing out. With the paid cell phone, the paid phones, then the burner phones, just to handle the Craigslist problem. That
was actually crazy. I didn't even know what those phones were. Maybe do you don't have time to tell about that story?
No. We'll get another time. But like when it happens, like when it would be an algorithmic change with Google when Penguin hit, or another thing that affected the success of our websites or the way we market, or when all of a sudden certain things that used to work don't work anymore. That's cool, And I find that if I would just push through, everyone's comfortable working on a problem for a couple of hours. If you just push through sometimes a couple of more hours, you'd be amazed what lies with you on the other side. And I said this before. There's that drawing of a person like with a pickaxe tunneling through, and he's a miner or something,
Right.
and he quits and walks away just when he was like inches away from where all the diamonds were, on the other side of the wall. It's that same thing. None of the things that we talk about, by the way, that I ever talk about, they're not like new concepts.
Right.
And the same things like I kind of heard when I was younger in business, but I don't know, they just didn't click with me. They didn't resonate, and maybe I had to live some of them. Maybe I had to hear them a different way. But none of this stuff is like new information. So I don't sit here and go, oh, I've got this new gospel for you. There's just a shit ton of people in our industry that really don't, in lots of industries, that just don't get it, that don't understand it, or don't know how to translate it from stuff they read 10, 20 years ago to to today and today's environment. But I mean that's really just the way I look at obstacles, man. It's just an opportunity, something if you just push through, if you work a little harder, you'll all of a sudden Shangri-La, at the other end. It's like cutting through that giant forest, and then all of a sudden you see what's El Dorado. You know what that is, right?
No.
You don't know what that is.
I know Car El Dorado.
Yeah, I bet you do. All right, so,
Yeah.
But it's fighting through that giant forest and then hacking through everything, and then all of a sudden, bam, you get there. You're at the promised land at the end. So it's City of Gold.
I have one question for you. Put you on the spot. I love putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
You like being on the spot too, which is interesting.
No, it's not that I like being. I perform it well under pressure, and
Yes.
then I also think that when people know that it's not rehearsed, it lends to more credibility. That's why
true.
people like viral video, like a cell phone video. They like the fact that you're not reading from a script,
Right.
because you're not lying. If you have time to manufacture something and write something, it could be anything, but it's more genuine when it comes right from the hip. So give me your question, buddy.
So a lot of staff, owners I've been speaking to, they have that challenge, like with the staff member who just complains, and like, what is your advice for them on how to deal with that person that's really not resourceful, doesn't want to go the extra distance, doesn't want to do the extra work, like you said? It's like it's always like an obstacle, complaining.
Well, I'm going to try and give you my
Yes.
few-minute quick thing on all of that.
Okay, cool.
There's the solutions for all the stuff that you're talking about. One is you very reasonably picked the wrong person. If you picked a person who's like you, the qualities you have, and you placed them in the job that you put them, you'd probably be like a caged animal as well, and you wouldn't want to do that stuff, walking, pacing back and forth, want to do something more, bigger, whatever. So hiring you to do the jobs that you don't want to do doesn't make any sense.
Good tip.
That's one thing. The second thing is you have to come to grips with the fact that not all relationships are rehabilitatable. So you may have had a long-term employee for a while, obviously. You may have had a long-term employee or employee for any period of time where a relationship soured in some way. You've done things wrong. You haven't lived up to promises. You haven't really shared a vision. You've thrown them into something where they felt uncomfortable and they didn't feel supported. And it's not always easy to fix that. But so that goes without saying. You sometimes have to end relationships because they're just not good fits anymore. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person, the employee's a bad person. It just means that it's a situation that's not conducive to everyone being happy and successful. So sometimes you got to be able to cut that cord and move on with that. The other parts are, if you as an operator and an owner don't have a vision of where you want to be in a few years. I'm not saying, like I said, sometimes people come and ask me, well, what do you see the business in 5 years and 10 years? It's a loaded question in so many ways, and in so many ways you can't answer it in today's with the temperature of today, as far as how fast things move and what opportunities may pop up. But you got to have some kind of at least a direction for where you're going to go. You may not know what state you're going to, but you got to go out west. You don't know whether it's California, Arizona, Nevada, but you're going out west. You got to have that kind of basic direction, like direction in the dark, and your employees have to know it. And it has to be, if it's not congruent with where they want to be in the same couple of years, then you don't have a good fit. The guy who wants to get a degree from college and be an X or a Y, and you're trying to talk to him about working all these hours and getting all this stuff done, and his head's not in that game. Now obviously you're not going to always find career people in martial arts, but I will tell you what, I'll give you a secret. Okay?
Yeah, let's do it. Yes.
Here's a secret. If you start making career opportunities for people, you'll have a real career. If you stop treating your job like you're a single owner operator with a bunch of people, free or not free, helping you, and you stop looking at your job like it's just a single person career, and you start looking at it like it's what it could be, then you'll attract people and you'll keep people who want to have careers too. You have a lot of owners who have owners that come to mind, guys like John Broussard, Greg Horton, Sergio von Schmeling, Bill Clark. These are people who've created real opportunities for people. They've created careers that they can actually raise a family on. And that's how I would think, and that's how I do think. If you are putting people in positions for work and you're not giving them the opportunity to have a career, then you're always going to be dealing with, part-time or migrant workers. I don't mean migrant like from another country. I mean like migrant in the sense that they're going to come and go. They're not going to stay around. So, and those are some of the things. I think the problems everyone's facing are the symptoms of what the actual problems are. Yes. Not getting your staff to do what you want to do. Probably because you picked the wrong person, you led them the wrong way, or you're not. There's not the right carrot and the stick type of situation. They don't have any real opportunity. They're just passing the time with you. And then, if you understand that, and that's who you have for a while, well, restrict the duties, or do one thing that you maybe never do. Why don't you find out what they actually like to do within the company, instead of thinking that the roles is defined like program director, instructor. We met a lady, Lee Richter.
Yes. And
it was she's got like 10 companies. She really had some illuminating stuff she talked to me about as far as HR stuff and some of the stuff she does for team meetings. It's really cool. But one of the things she did was she had a survey she fills out when she hires somebody, and as far as what they love it, like it, hate it. And it was a bunch of categories, and it was confusing in the sense that it didn't show exactly what you're trying to do for the employee. Okay. So it was a little covert. But at the end, like say, for instance, they found out the employee didn't want to talk on the phone. Well, what they would do is, instead of keeping it like, well, this is your job. If you don't fit into it, you're fired. You're not hired. They would say, okay, great. Well, we're going to try and make you not talk on the phone. And we're going to try and give you more of this thing because you obviously like this and love this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So maybe if you break the mold of what what you believe is a traditional role for employees in the school, then you'll have a better chance of fitting people into the right position. So find out what the strength is. I always think of you being a business owner as being the coach of a pro team, right? I played a lot of sports as a kid. I was never great at anything, but I was usually good enough to make a team, just not good enough to get a lot of time,
right?
On the court of the field. And although my football career was cut short with a broken arm, I swear I would have been a pro football player.
Really?
I had a cannon for an arm. As a teenager, I was throwing 60-yard passes. It was crazy. Anyway, so that's another story. But here's the thing: if you've got a player who take basketball, if you've got a player who is great, penetrating and getting under the boards and shooting close to the basket, you don't put him out in 3-point zone. And if you've got guys who are strong free throw shooters, but you don't let him get in the mix so he can get fouled, then that's a mistake. If you don't have a player who shoots from the field, who shoots 3-point shots all day, and you are trying to get him to stay and rebound and get in under the boards, then you're making a mistake. It's misplaying people. So listen, you got what you got. You got a whole bunch of people that they're your assets. Just allocate them correctly, to where they become most valuable to everybody. And ultimately, most value means most happy and most, profitable and successful.
Okay.
So there's some,
great.
That's a quick 5 minutes of employee stuff.
That's
so
perfect.
We just got done because we're leaving in like 10, 12 minutes.
See the masterminds in a little bit. We're going to get some breakfast with you guys, and we'll be over at the Marriott. So we'll see you guys. And Mike, thanks for taking the time this morning. Actually, last night late notice, and I was happy.
It was so difficult. I mean, you're in my house, and I had to go all the way from around there, from the bedroom. I had to get there. I got the message when I was shaving. I got the message from you, and and I realized I had to be on set really quick, so it worked out.
Well, everybody, I'm sure, give Mike some love, appreciate, give some thumbs up or whatever, some hearts. He likes that.
Hearts.
And thank you for sharing some of the insights with us.
He likes bananas. He likes that.
No, you'd like it when. Well, actually, you'd like.
Who doesn't like it?
Everyone's true.
It's who doesn't like appreciation and thanks everybody. Who doesn't like all that stuff? That's all good.
All right, guys. On behalf of Team Pro, this is Nick D. I'm out, and I will see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. And that is all we have for today. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
Peace.
I'll let the hearts finish.
Oh, because I was like, you didn't actually hit that. The hearts don't stop. Oh, they're stopping. No, they keep coming
down.
How are you ever going to stop now? Don't you feel bad?
I do.
Like you're going to cut someone's heart off.
That is pretty bad.
Yeah. So, because it's not stopping.
Thanks, Gary.
Awesome, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll catch you later.
See you.
There you go. You got it.
Keep it going.
Oh, come on. Hurry up. you're going to keep letting them flood.